Why don't companies list salary in job listings? I enjoy this question. And when you stop and think about it, it all makes perfect sense. Reason number one is if they're willing to pay more for someone than they're paying someone on staff, they tick people off and that those folks start heading for the doors. And that to me is the biggest reason why it happens. Now, yes, there is the negotiating reason. If you put a salary range of 100 to 120 on a job listing, no one sees 100. They just see 120. And if an offer is extended, well, people wonder, hey, why didn't I get the 120? They just forgot about the 100 and all the other numbers up to the 120 because they just fixated on the 120 number, and they get angry and will turn down offers. It also gives firms the opportunity to negotiate. After all, if you don't know what their max number is, you don't know when you're pushing up against it. And thus, when the barrier to entry for them. If you don't have the information about salary, knowledge is power. They know what they can afford to pay, and they can get you for $10,000 less. They're real happy for that. So I'll simply say that is one last thing that when you look at most ads, they'll list a range of experiences. So let's say it says 5 to 10 years of experience. That pays 100 to 120. Well, most people just look at the 5 to 10 years and they're going for the most money, and they forget that a 5-year person is going to be paid less than a 10-year person. So firms are trying to avoid a variety of headaches. Now, on the other hand, third-party recruiters often include salary. Why? Because they don't want to waste time with people who are looking for more money than their client is willing to pay. They're more skillful in negating some of the arguments that come up when people say, it's a salary of 100 to 120. I just want to make sure that you hear this. 100 up to 120. So you could be making 100, you could be making 105, depending upon how they assess you. The easiest possible scenario is if you do poorly, where they offer you 0, but that's not what we're gunning for. And in educating people in this way, most recruiters are able to negate some of the arguments that come up about why a person hasn't been offered the highest amount of money. Hope you found this helpful.